Uh-oh.
Zombie. I don't know. My camera's acting up. That's all right though. Um, hey, what's up, everybody? Sorry, we're running a little bit late here, but here we are. You can see we're having tech difficulties, but we're just kind of rolling with it. We're talking tech and you know, tech problems. So we're here to talk AI and all things laundromats and just have a good time doing it. Pablo, how you doing, man?
Mr. Barry, very well. I'm excited to be back and out of the frying pan into the fire now on the live show. This
This
is where all the
is
decisions are made.
this is
So
a good time here.
I'm
Yeah.
excited to be here. No, this is great and great topic. Really enjoyed our conversation last time. I think we had set some bullet points about what we wanted to cover. I think we covered about 30 times more material, and that's because it's just a really interesting topic. You've got a lot to say on it too, which is great. And so, yeah, excited to keep it going.
Yeah, we covered a whole lot, but also we just kind of scratched the surface there too. So, man, should be a good time today. So, with that said, while we kick this thing off, first of all, let me know if you're out there and you can hear us. Maybe let us know where you're tuning in from. I am back in Cali right now, California. SoCal, it's kind of miserable compared to Hawaii. It's like 80 degrees and sunny and all that. But where are you
The
at?
beach is 12 minutes away instead of 5.
And
It's
instead of
brutal.
across the street. Yeah, I know. It's pretty rough. Where are you tuning in from?
I am from New York, but I'm also in New York right now. I'm in our headquarter office in downtown Manhattan, and hopefully heading to the beach soon. I don't know. In New York, it keeps going between like 80 degrees and 40 the next day. So you leave with a t-shirt on, but also gloves.
Yeah.
We're getting there. It's
You
okay.
got, yeah, you never know what the weather's going to throw at you there. What's funny is just got off the plane yesterday from Hawaii into here, and I was like, there's like a chill in the air here. It was like 67 degrees, but it was just like something I hadn't felt in a while over in
Exactly.
Hawaii there. So,
Yeah. Well, that plus all that the news. It's good to just find a beach somewhere and turn your phone off for a couple months. Let the world resume spinning, hopefully. But
that's right. Yeah, hopefully.
anyway, we got some people tuning in from Massachusetts, and it looks like another LA.
That's right.
Good.
Represent.
All over, coast to
Yeah,
coast.
awesome. Well, hey, while we just kind of introduce what we're chatting about today, listen, this is meant and designed to be discussion for people to be able to ask questions. And topic at hand is AI and laundromats. So if you've got questions kind of surrounding that, and in particular, one of the things that we're really trying to highlight here is Sense Assist, which is a well. Why don't I let you say what Sense Assist is actually?
Sure thing. So Sense Assist is many things. Primarily, Sense Assist is our new call center. And there's a lot of AI that's been put into the groundwork, the framework of Sense Assist. It's not 100% AI. It uses all the best parts of AI, but also relies on a traditional infrastructure that includes humans to pick up the phone if the AI doesn't answer the question. And probably my favorite thing is not just the fact that we will answer 95% of inbound calls to your store, but it also integrates with other parts of the Sense ecosystem. So it's not just a phone product. It actually will take that information and give you more value in other things. For example, you can take these numbers of people calling in and automatically put them into marketing campaigns and start sending them offers and try and get them to come back in your store and maybe do a wash and fold order instead of a self-serve, things like that. So it's very cool. It's sort of the tip of the spear, excuse me, on a couple other things that are coming this year that I think are really going to raise the bar on the kind of products that we're looking at.
That's awesome. And dude, I mean, first of all, I've tried it out. I've seen how it works, and honestly, man, it's kind of mind blowing. Like how what information customers can get and how they're actually interacting. Like I know we're starting to see that in multiple different arenas, but to me, it just blows my mind that we have that in like the laundromat business, and like
100%.
from the beginning of starting this podcasts, I've just been harping on our industry being like, we've got to get with the times. We got to get with the times. We're still having the should we accept payments other than quarters debate. Like, why are we still having? We got to catch up. And now, 5 short years later, we've got AI call centers and all kinds of stuff going on. Other kind of AI stuff going on.
Yeah.
So super excited about that. Listen, why don't we start with this question? Okay, so we've got Sense Assist, and maybe you can kind of weave that into here too. But are you seeing laundromat owners? So I keep looking at my other camera. I'm gonna look at this camera. It switched on me. And
Too many cameras on you.
They switch back. I know. Well, it's the computer camera now. But how are you seeing laundromat owners utilize? I mean, obviously with Sense Assist, but utilizing AI in their businesses to help them kind of either grow or promote or whatever their business is, and if so, what are you seeing people doing?
So, short answer, yes, and exactly in the way that you would hope, which is they're really just kind of picking up the pieces of what is out there and making it work, essentially. Why I say that's the best way possible is because it's showing that everyone is already thinking about this. So from my perspective, when I think about what products we're bringing to market, especially in the AI space, the customers and the users are giving us the roadmap right there. And our job is to just make it way easier to use and way more powerful given the data and the resources and the infrastructure that we have. I'll tell you a funny story though, about, I want to say a year ago, give or take, maybe even a little bit more, because ChatGPT it was like early days of ChatGPT. I was emailing back and forth with a customer. We were getting them hooked up with our hardware, our card readers for their store. And sort of randomly, he wrote back and he sent me a poem. And it was like a long poem about the laundry industry and technology in the laundry industry and AI. And it was sort of meant as like, thanks for modernizing our laundromat. And I showed it to everyone. I was like, this guy must have spent 3 hours writing this poem. It's amazing. It's funny, it's smart, it's rhyming. And like 2 months later, I woke up in the middle of the night. I'm like, oh my God, he just plugged in a ChatGPT, write me a poem about AI in the laundromat. Here I was singing his praises. But anyway, to answer your question, right now there's so much you can do using generic AI as a thought partner, right? Question and answer. I type in a prompt, it gives me, text as an answer. It'll ask me, have you thought about this, whatever. So that's great. That is like the best use case for training ourselves to think about these products and how to use them. The area that I'm focused on is what people are calling agentic AI. And just to kind of give a brief explanation, looks like one of our users here, smart.
I did that with my wife. Yeah.
Yeah,
My
we
wife
won't
just walked
die.
in. Shh, don't spill the secret.
But the in the AI space and on the more tech side, there's two sort of schools emerging. One is generative AI, which is basically ChatGPT. It can think and talk and write like us and be a thought partner. And then there's agentic AI, which is basically just a fancy way of saying like task execution AI. And so what's really fascinating about that, obviously there's a lot of implications about if you've seen Iron Man, Jarvis, or what Siri should be, and all these examples in movies, but essentially that's available now for us to start developing with. And so we're thinking about all these ways that you can bring in the way you talk with a generative AI, chat platform that's sort of living in the natural language channel that we're used to just as humans, bringing that instruction over to AI bots that can actually execute functions. So practically speaking, in the laundry space, that could be designing and executing marketing functions, or managing your accounting on a monthly basis, or even scheduling deliveries, or chatting with customers, or doing sales for you. Like, these are things that we don't trust tech to do yet because we need that human element, but you put the two together and it's It's very, very cool. So that's what we're thinking about. What are you thinking about, Jordan? What do you, I'm sure you're
Yeah.
hearing all about this.
Yeah, lots of stuff. Well, I wanted to kind of go back to, I mean, because you kind of casually threw this out here, but I think this is super powerful of using, AI, whether it's Chat GPT or, I mean, I think Chat GPT is probably the best right now at this, but they kind of leapfrog each other, allow all the different AI, um, platforms, but using it as a thought partner, I think that's a powerful way to utilize AI, just helping you run your day-to-day business and making business decisions and that kind of thing. Can you talk about what does that even mean? Because I'm running in circles, where we're not running in circles, but I hang out with people who are doing that. I'm doing that a little bit, but can we put a little meat on those bones and talk about what does it mean to actually utilize AI as a thought partner?
Absolutely. And I'm actually making a note to myself right now, reminder to come up with a guide to prompt engineering for Chat GPT to improve laundry operations. Okay. So everyone on this Zoom, on this live YouTube can hold me accountable to this. Within a week or two, Sensor is going to publish a guide for how to effectively use ChatGPT or DeepSeek. I saw one person wrote in the chat to improve a laundromat. Now, um, just to throw it out there, the way that you can use AI to improve a laundromat is what we're about to talk about, but also stay tuned because over the next couple months, we are going to be rolling out AI enabled products that are designed, as I was mentioning before, to actually execute core functions of a laundry, right? So that's coming. What you can do right now, though, is this concept of prompt engineering, which is basically understanding, and there's a ton of really cool literature out there online, or you could even use ChatGPT to learn about prompt engineering, right?
Mhm.
But prompt engineering means understanding how to use AI platforms like ChatGPT or DeepSeek or Claude or any of the ones that you prefer to use. Um, Learning how to use it in the way that you would learn a traditional piece of software. I think a lot of people assume that because it's this, sort of fluid chat experience, that there isn't better or worse ways to do it. But, when you learn how to drive a car, there's ways to drive a car, there's ways not to drive a car. When you learn how to use, Zoom or even Google search or whatever, there's better ways and worse ways. So there are better ways to use chat platforms. So I would encourage everyone to do a little research on how to write the best prompts to get the best results. Now, once you've done that, I would recommend exploring, as you were mentioning, Jordan, um, using these platforms as a business partner. And short of actually hitting the go button and executing a business plan or some marketing campaign or sales campaign or what have you, you can get these platforms to give you, in the most granular detail possible, the answers, essentially the how-to guide to execute almost any function within your SMB, within your business, right? So what does that actually look like? You pick an area of your business, sales and marketing, or efficiency, creating more higher margin within your business, or employee management, or how to, keep my environment safe and clean and, be a community member, or literally anything, right? And you can do a series of prompts and have it basically print out bullet point to do lists that is the combination of the information you're feeding it about your business and also the collective knowledge of how businesses like yours run in general. And it can be very conversational. You can teach the system a lot about your specific business, and that will make the answers better and better. So to answer the question in the chat here, it's a little open ended, but pick any question you're trying to answer. Probably either how do I grow my business or how do I grow, create more efficiency in my business. And you can get very far just by having a very detailed conversation with the system.
Yeah, yeah, and just to get like real, like just give a couple. I'll just give a couple of examples of like, let's just say you want to develop a marketing plan. Actually, with one of my consultants just this week, he wanted to put together a business plan. And I was like, well, I have a template and stuff, but let's create a custom one for your business, right? And we fed some information in there, but let's just say we want to do like a marketing plan, right? You can tell it, number one, you can tell it who it is, right? You can say, hey, you're a world-class marketer, you're the best of the best marketer, right? And already right there it's like, okay, I'm locked in, we're doing some marketing, right? And you tell it about your business. Here's my business, I have a laundromat, I'm in LA, I do self-serve laundry, and I do pick up and deliver or whatever, right? You can tell it all about your business. Here's my price points, all that stuff, whatever you want to. And you can say, hey, based on this information, knowing that you are the best of the best of what we're trying to do here, you know, I want a comprehensive marketing plan with both paid and free ways to advertise my business. Before you create that plan, you can ask it to ask you questions in order to get the clarity it needs. So you can say, are there any questions that you have that would help you craft the best marketing plan ever? And it'll give you questions and you can answer those questions and then say, is there anything else? And it'll say, I'm ready to go. And it'll put together a comprehensive marketing plan designed specifically for your business, right? So it doesn't have to be complicated. It can be, and you can get more and more sophisticated. Like you said, once you start kind of going down that prompt engineering rabbit hole, you can get really detailed, but you don't have to start that way. Just tell it who it is, tell it what it is you're looking for, and then ask it to ask you questions if you don't know what information to feed it, and it'll tell you what information it needs from you. So this is something that is doable for any laundromat owner. But I guarantee you, very few laundromat owners are actually doing this kind of
Right.
thing. But it's a right now it's a low hanging fruit that can put you head and shoulders above. And as more and more things start rolling out, like Sense Assist and other things that can help us manage our businesses along with, uh, the AI. I mean,
Yeah. One thing, and sorry, I'm gonna just answer some quick questions here so I don't forget
yeah, yeah,
in
yeah.
the chat here. But so right now, my customers can call or text to the same number. Is that available or something going to be? That is available now. If you sign up for Sense Assist, you can text and call to the same one, and the AI will respond on phone or text. And then Eric asked a question about um, basically surge pricing. Theoretically, that is something. It's something we're exploring. I don't know if we'd roll it out or not, but it is possible, and we're exploring what the use cases would be. Most likely, at some point, some feature like that will be available, probably in the nine to 12 month range. But I want to throw out an idea, going back to using ChatGPT or Claude or DeepSeek as a thought partner here. So it's one thing to ask, how do I grow my business, right? Or how do I design a marketing campaign? I want to flip this on its head. And if I were a laundromat owner and I would just kind of, growing my business and been doing this for a while, or, I was curious about how to increase the value of the business. One thing that I would ask it is, if I were selling my business tomorrow, what framework would a buyer look for? In other words, help me design and I use selling your business as a sort of universally acceptable benchmark of, like, the business is in really healthy shape. It's got a certain margin profile. It's got the right kind of customers, whatever. So you can ask it, if you were going to buy my business tomorrow for the highest multiple possible, give me the exact parameters and structure of the business that you would want to see. And that actually gives you a framework to grow into. So let's say, your margin is about 18% now, or 25%. I don't know, depending on where you are. But let's say, you're at a 22% margin, and you have a mix of pick up and delivery customers and some self-serve, and you don't really know who's coming in and out, but they're growing. You're thinking about getting a van, all these things. Well, if you have this blueprint that says, if you hit this growth percentage year over year, and if you hit this margin, we want to see a 33% margin and we want to see 14% growth year over year, and we want to see 60% of your customers are coming in twice a month, because that means good, strong, recurring revenue, like things like that. Not only does that give you a great framework if you do want to sell your business, great, but otherwise just a very healthy business. But then you can go into each one of those topics and say, all right, well, how do I do that? Give me some pointers on how to do that. And it will actually walk you through different ways you can do that, right? So the ultimate point I'm trying to make, I mean, I think that would be a really great exercise, but the ultimate point I'm trying to make is that you can use the fluid nature of an AI, conversational AI platform like this, to really rethink how you're interacting with it. And it's not just, how do I do this? But it's like any scenario you can think of that would be accretive to your business, you can work backwards from that, or work forwards.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, I love that idea too. Just kind of flipping on its head and saying, hey, if I was going to sell this thing, you know, what do I need to do here? What's the framework that a buyer would be looking for? And one of the things I harp on all the time is like, stop, stop taking money under the table. Stop paying your employees under the table. And one of the big reasons I keep saying that, number one, I mean, it's illegal. So, but number two is it devalues your business, right? And if you're looking to sell, you want to maximize the value of your business. So that means, number one, having the best customer service available so that you have those repeat customers. Repeat customers bring a ton of value to any business, right? So that's why I like businesses with subscription models. They sell for super high multiples because it's super valuable to have recurring revenue coming in. And we're recurring revenue, even though most of us don't have literal actual subscriptions, we kind of indirectly are a subscription business because people have to do it on a regular basis, right?
Yeah.
But also, it's going to help you set it up in such a way where it's going to be easier to finance. It's going to be easier for a buyer to take it over. Like all these things start piling up, and it really dramatically increases the value of your business. I think that's been super underrated. So I love that framework of saying, hey, if I was going to sell this thing, even if you're not planning on selling, like this is going to help you, build
Yeah.
a profitable business, but a valuable.
It just gives you a
business.
blueprint. It's basically as if you went to business school and it said, here's the ideal business. How do you get there as quickly as possible? Another thing I love doing, just for throwing it out there, and you can apply this to any aspect you want, but personalized learning, I think, is such an interesting area that the world is going to move into. And so what I'm about to say, you can extrapolate and apply this to anything about laundry, but just conceptually speaking, something I've started doing is, whether I'm in a car for a long drive or just, out of interest, I'll use ChatGPT to learn about a topic, right? So this could, if you're interested in how to improve sales, or teach me about business operations, or whatever you want to learn about, right? I use it for fun things like history lessons, or also business principles, explain funding economics and whatever. It could be anything you want. But the key is you prompt it to say, pretend you're my professor and teach me everything that there is to know about X topic, but do it in a question and answer format, one at a time. So ask me 20 questions to get my baseline knowledge of whatever the topic is, and then fill in the blanks and teach me by asking me questions one at a time. Gauge my answer, let me respond, correct me, fill in the blanks, and then move on. And I've found that in this increasingly digital world we live in, there's endless content out there. There's 20-minute YouTube videos, there's 3-hour YouTube videos, there's 25-second Instagram clips. We live in this world where like information retention is so hard. And so I find this interactive ability of these platforms, for me personally, and maybe it's different for everyone, but it just sticks so much better. And it's almost like having a partner there. You can use a voice thing on the phone or chatting. ChatGPT has a voice interactive component. But I find that any topic I'm interested in, so if I were a laundromat owner, I'd say, I want to double my business in the next year. Walk me through everything I need to know about how to do that, but do it in conversational format. That is how I would be using AI to grow my business right now.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, and I love that. I mean, it reminds me of my kids right there, like learning. Like even just last night, uh, I was introducing my son who's 13 to House, the show House, and we were
Oh,
watching.
iconic
Yeah,
show.
I
Iconic.
hadn't watched it in a while. He's like, "What's that?" And I was like, "Oh, we should watch it." Right. So we watched a couple episodes, and we were talking about they were talking about giving somebody steroids for their inflammation and stuff. And he's like, "Do you know how steroids work?" And I was like, "Not really." And he started like we paused the show, and he's like telling me how steroids work and why muscles grow, but also why it deals. And I'm like, "Dude, like, what do you do?"
How the
He's
hell
like,
do you know
"Yeah."
this?
He's like, "I watched a 15-second YouTube short
Yeah.
and learned about how." And I was like, "Dude,
Wow.
this is crazy." But same with like he's doing the same stuff with AI too,
Hmm.
and doing that sort of personalized learning, which I mean, I think it's going to transform education. Obviously, I think it's going to
100%.
transform business. And as you were talking, this is completely unrelated, but I wanted to mention it because I know a lot of people struggle with this. One of the hardest things to do as an owner, especially an owner who really cares about your business, one of the hardest things to do is to get a bad review. And one of the best things you
Mm.
can do to take emotions out of those bad reviews is say, "Hey, ChatGPT or whoever, Claude, I have a laundromat. I got this bad review. You know, I think maybe this customer has a little bit of a point, but I disagree with this, or whatever." And you can put all your rage emotions into there even, and just say this guy's an idiot and whatever. But say, "Hey, can you craft a response to this that's going to make
Hmm.
this customer feel heard and valued, and help me encourage them to come back and give us another try so we can do better," right? And it'll spit out something that's stripping the emotions out of those responses. That's just a very practical, easy, basic use case, but it can be so powerful because I've seen so many. I'm sure you've seen it too. So many like owners responding to bad reviews that they're obviously feeling very emotional about it,
Yeah.
which there's nothing wrong necessarily with that. But we've talked about on the podcast a whole bunch of times, like those bad reviews could be one of your most powerful weapons to build loyalty in that customer, but also in other customers as they see that interaction. But
Mm.
it can also have the opposite effect if you respond poorly to it, right? So just take it out of your hands and let ChatGPT or Claude or whoever do
Right.
that. It's
Until
super practical.
until you find that the bad review was written by an AI, and then we just have
Yeah,
AI
AI
bots on
talking to
bot.
AI. Yeah, yeah. They're
Yeah.
just duking it out.
Well, I think you bring up a good point though, Jordan, which is essentially, there is, I feel like we're in a limbo period right now where we're learning about this stuff. It's sort of like internet 2.0, where if you go back and there's hilarious videos, I mean,
Oh
funny
yeah,
now in retrospect, of like news commentators talking about the internet when it was first coming out. They're like, you can go read a blog post on the web, and they're
yeah.
like,
And they're
and
like, "What's
not
a
much
blog
else,
post?"
and
Yeah,
then
yeah,
it's like, and then within 6 months, like Amazon started, right? So, but anyway, the point is that like, I think we're in the most exciting period probably ever right now, because everyone is thinking of new ways to do it. And in a few years, most of these use cases will be defined. So the point is to anyone who's, you know, out there wondering what can you do with it, experiment, have fun.
yeah,
There's literally
yeah,
no downside to just try anything and everything. And the first thing you can do if you're stuck is ask the platform, what are good use cases for this? Like, even just start with the ultimate most basics and spend an hour a week or 5 hours a week just learning how to use this tool. Because I can tell you right now, if I'm sure everyone knows this to a certain degree, but this is the future, right? This is the internet in
it's coming.
19,
Yeah,
whatever, 90s, 90, whatever, whenever it first hit. Like, this is the period that is redefining how we use these things. And soon enough it'll be second nature, which would be great. But this is sort of the most exciting period, in my opinion. So just try it out, just experiment.
You know where I think we are is, and you won't resonate with this because I think you're too young, but I think we're in that dial-up phase of the internet
Oh
where
yeah,
you had to wait for the phone lines and like you said, we were just kind of figuring out what you could do. I remember my dad telling me, "Oh, never put your credit card online. Like it's not somebody's going to steal your credit card. Like you can't buy stuff online, right?" And then
yeah,
now I don't know if I've bought something not online outside of like Home Depot, like
yeah.
so yeah, so I think we're like real early phases and you're right. And real quick, while we're chatting, uh I I want to kind of finish that thought, but I was just thinking, Eric, I loved your idea of like that surge pricing and using AI there. If anybody else has any other ideas of like how do you think we could utilize AI in the industry, I'd just be curious to hear your guys' different ideas because like Pablo was saying, time of experimentation in this business. So if you're like, hey, this would be awesome if AI could do, even if AI that yet, I just love to hear different ideas of what are get the creative juices flowing a little. So if you got any, put them in there. But what I was saying is, the if you just kind of look on, look up. There's a guy I follow on Instagram. I think his name's Digital Samaritan, and he features a whole bunch of and they come out new ones every single day of just people creating new AI tools for different use cases and stuff, right? So even just as an industry as a whole, everybody's just experimenting and playing and trying to figure out like what can we actually do with this. So we should be doing that too with our businesses there. Um,
So totally agree. And I love there's a couple of great channels out there. A lot of people are dedicating full-time efforts to, teaching about this. I mean, if you pretty much just go on any social platform and type in like AI, you'll get a half dozen accounts that are reporting on this sort of thing. But bringing this back to the like laundromat tools concept, and especially around this notion of like surge pricing and um, things like that, where it's a little bit more integrated. And I saw one user spin said AI has been great for writing company policies, procedures, Facebook posts, employee reviews. Like absolutely. Um, I think a lot about what the difference between automation and delegation is. So automation means like, in my opinion, set and forget. I have a repeatable process that I just want, like I know exactly what is supposed to happen. I have a tool that can do that, it saves me X amount of time. Delegation, we typically think of in a more like, human context of, a manager or employees or, outsource or what have you. And I think that Patrick, you're not wrong. um, but when it comes to AI tools, right? And frankly, not even just AI, just like general technology, like that's something that I think is going to shift where we now talk about AI as if it's basically like an employee, right? So I think about delegating work to AI versus automating. And one key distinction is that I still review a lot of it, right? So it's one thing like an automation would be like an email marketing campaign. I have template A, B, and C, and when someone signs up for a first order, there's an automation that sends them a email that says, thanks, welcome to Pablo's laundromat, and here's a coupon for, discount. Whereas as we get into more agentic AI use cases where you're delegating tasks, like for example, I want to develop my commercial business, find me eligible buildings in the nearby metro that could potentially, be my commercial customers for folding or washing their gym towels and things of that nature. Or, for example, I want you to look at my finances, from an accounting perspective, and find out where there's areas to trim some fat and improve my margins, right? So that's delegating work to an AI system that you'll soon be able to do within Sense, but there's online tools now. The difference is that you're using this to basically do the heavy lifting for you, but you're still making the decision on that. We call this human in the loop in terms of the AI products. You want to have a lot of the work done, but the human is there to review and improve. And I think that's obviously, something that everyone should be aware of from a safety perspective. You don't want these systems just kind of running wild with important tasks. But I think it also is indicative of the capacity to which they can do tasks that normally you would only trust yourself or your manager to do. Either way, the thing that I'm most worried about on the flip side is the world just sort of kicking back and letting bots run their businesses, right? So I hope everyone is thinking, and I'll speak for myself, but I wonder if people think about this from perspective of like, I can't wait till a bot is just running my whole business and I'm collecting checks. Or it's like, I'm really excited to use these tools to grow my business to a point that I couldn't previously do it, but it's still my business. So part, cautionary tale, part philosophical musing, but that is sort of a big part of the transition we're in right now, is moving from automation to delegation at a much higher capacity.
Yeah, I think that's huge, and the agency thing is, I mean, that's essentially sense assist, right? Is you're delegating that, at least that first line of defense of customer service to AI.
Yeah,
Like you said, don't let it run loose. But man, I mean, I was saying in the very beginning here, like, it's powerful, and if you haven't tried it yet, if you haven't like jumped on a phone call with one of these AI customer service bots, you got to try it. It's kind of mind blowing. There was some skepticism that I was talking to another owner, and he jumped on with one and was just kind of blown away by what it was doing. Speaking of which, just while we're talking about it, if somebody's interested in hearing more about Sense Assist, or maybe even doing like a demo, something like that, what's the best way for them to connect with you to do that?
100%. So you can go to, and I'll put these in the chat here, trisense.com, and any demo page on there will get you a meeting. You can speak with a sales representative. I'll also put my personal email in here, or my work email, Pablo at trisense.com. Feel free to shoot me an email and we can set up a time to call about it. If I'll just contextualize this a little bit. Basically, what Census does, we give you a phone number, an AI bot, basically, but a phone number. You forward your store's phone number to this number, and we have a very, I'd say, high performing, realistic sounding AI agent infrastructure that will pick up the phone. They will speak with the customer. In fact, for better or worse, most people don't realize it's an AI bot. But they'll figure out the context of the call. And we found that 60-70% of calls are just basic frequently asked questions like, what's your address, or hours, or services and pricing? And they're able to answer actually more like 90% of calls that come in. Some percentage of those are order related. So now we can look up an order number in the system. And that's what I was talking about, deeper integration. But for that 10 to 20% of calls that get escalated, if the AI determines that it can't answer the question, it will forward it either to a human on our team. So we have a team of people that will take more complex tasks on your behalf, or if it determines that it's urgent enough that someone at the store needs to answer, we'll just automatically send it to the store. So that could be there's something wrong with the machine, or there's some trouble at the store, or what have you. The system is intelligent enough to know where to send the call. Ultimately, though, we see somewhere in the ballpark of a 90% reduction in volume of calls to wherever they were going before, whether it's your phone, your store's phone, your manager's phone. So massive, massive benefit. The other cool thing that people do is you have a full call log history and SMS history in your Sense application. So you can see all of the information coming through. And operators, we have probably over 200 stores now using it in as many, 2 months, which is really fantastic. Just great adoption. Um, Almost all of them are reading their call logs on a daily or weekly basis and making business decisions based on that. So people have all kinds of great insights. Um, People have all kinds of great insights saying, enough people were calling about dog beds that now we offer a specific service for dog beds and we charge $9 for a dog bed, right? Or, we found out a certain amount of people were calling about this washer being broken. Turns out, we figured out some default defect in the washer, right? So, all right, a couple of questions here. How does it send to the store if you forward the store number to the AI? Great question, Trevor. And you need two numbers. So we need a in number and an out number, and that's easy to set up. It could be two phones, or you buy another line, but it takes about an hour to get the whole thing set up either way. And then Sarah asked, are you able to use Sense Assist without using any other Sense services? Absolutely. So please feel free to reach out, Sarah. This was designed for anyone who has a laundromat to use. So I put my email further up in the chat. Feel free to just shoot me a note, and would love to talk with any of you about this.
Yeah, and I'll say, like, I mean, you're saying, it can handle 90-95% of the questions and stuff. I don't. When I tried it out, I gave it some pretty complex questions, some pretty complex tasks, and it handled like surprisingly complex questions, no problem. And so, I think that 90 whatever percent number is just going to continue to grow, and we'll be able to handle 99+% in the very near future, I think.
I would agree.
Which is pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy. Um, One thing, so I want to kind of like just, for a framework for us to be thinking about, like, so far, I mean, I think we've talked about sort of I keep looking at the wrong camera, two sort of categories of using AI. We've got AI sort of as like a thought leader / content creator. And that's something we just kind of glazed over, but you can use AI to create content for your social, your social profiles, your website. It used to, there's people who would pay huge money to copywriters to write copy for their websites to convert sales and stuff, because the messages we communicate and how we communicate them to people on our websites or in our emails or those kinds of things, they matter a lot. But you can have, a world-class copywriter right there at your fingertips that'll create something as good, if not better, than these copywriters who charge six figures, plus to do that stuff. So we've got sort of that content creation, thought leader kind of bucket, and then we've sort of got, I'd say probably like tier two, right, is this agency utilization of AI. And Sense Assist obviously is like prominent example of that agency model in our industry right now. But I think more of that is probably coming in, probably not too far down the line, as we are able to sort of outsource more and more of these tasks. Eric, awesome, good to see you. So we sort of got these two buckets here. Are there any other categories or buckets of AI utilization that we need to chat about at all?
Look, I think those are the main ones today. Where I think it's going in the future is, the way I think about this is human and digital interaction, like a person speaking to a call center, right? And that's basically the first replacement of a human speaking to a human. Then this human now has a call center that speaks for them, right? So we've sort of broken the first connection there. In the near future, when everyone has personal AI bots, like think of Siri, right? Like, so Siri, ironically, is considered a huge failure because they sort of marketed it like a ChatGPT assistant, but really it was just able to tell you like the weather and look up articles online for you. So not super effective. But imagine if Siri had the knowledge of ChatGPT and also the ability to actually do things on your behalf. Well, you'll have that, but businesses will also have a business version of Siri. And so we're going to have very soon a whole world of basically just bots executing tasks for us. So I could wake up in the morning and say, hey, Pablo's personal assistant, I have a trip coming up with my kids, and Valentine's Day is right around the corner. And also, I want to plan an offsite for my company, right? Go figure it out. And it will do those things. And then it'll call the United Airlines bot and they'll figure out flights for me and the kids. And then it'll call Macy's or whatever the flower shop is, their bot, and order flowers, right? So that's where it gets sort of freaky in one sense, but also uber productive in another, where we're basically just going to automate out anything that's annoying to do, which is great, right? But it's a little scary in terms of, well, what do you do then the rest of the time, right? So anyway, that's where I think probably within a year we'll see that starting to happen. Trevor asked how many languages does it have? It has unlimited languages. It is happens to be fluent in just about every language. Mostly we see Spanish and a little Russian on calls, but English remains dominant.
Does it speak Klingon?
It's a good question. I did, as a prank, as an April Fool's prank for one customer that I'm pretty friendly with, I set it to speak in a Shakespearean Shakespearean sonnet, iambic pentameter, which is pretty funny. So anyway.
That's awesome. So Trevor, you can have it write poems for your wife in many different languages, French or Italian, something that sounds pretty, and just claim credit for it. It's great. It's great. Yeah, I think that's already kind of starting to happen. You can already do some of those, like having it book stuff for you, and
there you go.
Actually,
I'm
I was
on board
having,
with that.
Yeah, that's right. Come on over and let's all hang out. Well, our laundromats are just automated and delegated to the AI. Yeah, so awesome. Listen, I want to make sure we get everybody's questions answered. If you have any other questions regarding AI and laundromats, make sure you get them in there because we're going to wrap this thing up. But as we do that, and I think, I don't want to like gloss over the language thing and kind of just make a joke of it, because that's huge, right? For especially, when our laundromats are in neighborhoods that have other languages other than English, and either, like I've had employees who only speak Spanish. I've had employees who don't speak Spanish, but we're in a predominantly, Hispanic neighborhood that people speak Spanish in, right? And having the ability to just, have somebody who can speak with them in a natural language. I shouldn't say somebody. That's like a slippery slope, I think. But have an AI customer service agent be able to speak with them, naturally in a fluent language is massive, right? To be able to communicate with them, and also to be able to, then go translate that for you as well. And so you can read in that conversation is massive.
I just saw one great question come up, which is, are there classes out there? And the answer is heck yes. There is something you should look up. I'm going to just grab the link. OpenAI Academy just dropped, and you see copy link. This is, if you just Google also OpenAI Academy or university, they are. Did I lose you here? Can you hear me? Okay.
I'm here. I hear you.
Boy. Okay. My screen froze. Okay, there you go. Yeah. So this is great because the guys who are actually making the tools are putting out the how-to guides. So I think that link worked. I don't know. Anyway, you can figure it out.
Yeah,
but
it worked.
Yeah, lots of good stuff.
Yeah, I think I double
copied it.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, that's
So
great.
anyway,
And
great
there's a
question.
lot of other, yeah, there's a lot of other places to learn. I'll send out a replay of this to everybody too, everybody, and I'll include a couple other courses. I've got my kids taking some courses in AI right now. I think we
Smart.
all should be learning AI, whether that's kind of on that tier one, that surface level thought partner slash content creation that I think is so powerful, or kind of, getting a little deeper and getting into that agency and figuring out how we can utilize that in our businesses as well. Man, I think it's interesting right now. It's interesting. This industry is getting more and more interesting kind of every day. It's less and less a boring business, even though I know that's the buzzword right now. There's more and more exciting stuff happening.
Yeah, there you go. We need a rebrand.
Yeah.
We're not boring anymore. We made it.
Yeah, that's right. We're exciting now. Look at us, everybody. We're so exciting. Well, listen, Pablo, this has been awesome as always. Talking with you just in general that's a big win in my book. But also
Right back at
talking,
you.
yeah, talking AI and getting to just take a peek of like what's happening in our industry. How do we utilize this? Because we're such like a or at least traditionally we're such like an offline kind of rubbing elbows industry, anti-tech, and this it's hard to if you're not really in this, it's hard to figure out how to actually utilize AI in this kind of mom and pop business. But getting to just have some conversations, hear some stuff in the chat from people, and yeah, nice.
I remember the day we met, Rick. I remember it very well.
Yeah. Well, so all that to say, man, this has been huge. I appreciate that. If you're still hanging on with us here and watching this, listen, this is low hanging fruit. Use it for thought partnership. Come up with great ways to run your business. Create content with it for your websites, for your socials, for your employees, for your customers, for your emails, for your text messages, all those things. AI can help you with that and help you, crush that. And again, this is low hanging fruit, even like your branding, all that stuff. This is right there at your fingertips and it's free. Like you can use it for free right now. So use that stuff and keep an eye open. We got to stay. This is one of those things now where we've got to stay with our finger on the pulse of what's going on in this industry here because stuff has been changing quickly, and I think the pace is only going to continue to get faster and faster.
I think you're right, and we'll be here to enjoy it, right? So anyway, Jordan, thanks so much. Great being on the show. Good to see everyone out there or chat.
Thank you guys for being here, and Pablo, thanks again, man. Appreciate you a lot, and we'll do something again soon. A lot of fun.
Likewise, looking forward to it, man. Talk soon.
Sounds good. Bye.
Bye.